It was a night where TNA Wrestling went hardcore. It was another pit stop for the Bound for Glory series and its participants. And a new champion was crowned. All this and the fallout with fan reactions of tonight's TNA Hardcore Justice pay-per-view. It's the RCWR Post Show, and it begins right now.
Live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., this is the RCWR Show with your host, Lee Sanders.
And what's up, everybody? This is the Black Avenger, Lee Sanders, and you're listening to the RCWR Post Show live right now on blogtalkradio.com and over at our sister website at infinityoneproductions.com. Coming to you live August 12th, 2012. We just saw TNA Hardcore Justice go off the air. Very good, strong finish to another great pay-per-view by TNA Wrestling as Dixie Carter. TNA Wrestling, they have just been on a streak. They have finally found that little niche. They finally have been able to get that formula together to keep bringing us, TNA fans, top quality pay-per-views. Just amazed at everything that had transpired on this pay-per-view tonight. For those of you that were not fortunate to order the pay-per-view, you weren't able to go to a friend's house and check it out, have no fear. We definitely have you covered. Myself and Zed, we were kicking back and we were interacting with those of you that were watching tonight's Hardcore Justice pay-per-view, and we know that some of you all definitely want to share your thoughts on how you either enjoyed or disliked the pay-per-view. We definitely want to hear from you as we're going to be opening up our phone lines in the later part of the show. So for now, just kick back, relax, and let's go through this recap as we try to get those of you that did not order this pay-per-view up to date on what all you missed. And hopefully, you will come up out of your pockets and you will pay that $39.99 and you will order this pay-per-view, because this one was definitely a must-see. And if you don't have that $39.99 right now, highly recommend that whenever this pay-per-view does come out on DVD, that you make it your business to check it out. Of course, you can interact with us live as we're going to be on for the next hour plus on Twitter at Infinity1Prod. We're also on Facebook at Infinity1 Productions. We got the chat room that's live and open right now on Blog Talk Radio, so feel free to jump on in there, blogtalkradio.com/the RCWR Show. And for those of you that are looking to call right now, you want to be waiting in queue, go ahead, get that head start. Just remember, we're going to be taking your calls in the later part of the show. Feel free to kick back, smile, and dial 646-478-3525. Once again, that's 646-478-3525. Let's go ahead and let's talk about tonight's pay-per-view, folks. What a fantastic pay-per-view. I don't even know where to begin. There's just so much that I can just dissect right now, but we're going to talk about everything that happened on this pay-per-view. And right before we go into it, mad shout-out to those of you that had checked out a special RCWR Call That Match special that we aired this past Saturday afternoon, where I offered my predictions on who I felt should win at tonight's pay-per-view. And I got to say, I got to be honest with you guys, even though I was thrown a curveball, I did pretty good. I only missed 3 matches, and I'm patting myself on the back. I think that's a pretty good record considering how I came off of the TNA Destination X pay-per-view, which, as long as we've been doing our Call That Match series, I suffered my worst defeat calling that pay-per-view. I think I redeemed myself pretty good. We'll definitely let you guys know where all I had messed up. Let's go ahead and let's jump right into it, folks. It was another pit stop for our Bound for Glory series as we had, count 'em, 3 different type of matches. I mean, this was a pay-per-view where you just had a little bit of something for everybody. We had a tables match. We had a Falls Count Anywhere match. We had a ladder match. We had the World Heavyweight Championship on the line. We had the TNA Knockouts title on the line. And as a added bonus, we even had the television title on the line. We had the X Division title on the line. There was something for everyone to look forward to in this pay-per-view. It was one of those type of pay-per-views where if you were one of those type of people that just try to look for something negative to say about this pay-per-view, you quite honestly missed the overall picture, which was this was a freaking fantastic pay-per-view. Let's get you guys caught up. Now, our pay-per-view had kicked off with a pretty good, strong intro, as from there, folks, we had went into our first match, which was Hernandez and Chavo Guerrero taking on the team of Kid Kash and Gunner. I was really loving this context, folks. I love this combination of Gunner and Kid Kash. They really came off like 2 mad dogs, 2 pit bulls that they were just so gritty. They were just so dirty. They just did whatever they needed to do to just get the job done. They didn't mind just being straight up brawlers. And then on the other side of the ring, we have Chavo Guerrero. He's got that excellence. He's got that background as a luchador coming from a historic family, the Guerrero family. Of course, the greatest Guerrero of all, the late Eddie Guerrero. Rest in peace, Eddie. Teaming up with Super Mex, Mr. Hernandez himself. How can you go wrong looking at this tag match right here, folks? Now, I must admit, I was kind of a little bit on the fence when I was looking at this match, but I came into this match just saying, okay, I'm going to scratch off whatever doubts I have, and I'm just going to embrace this match for what it is. And this match definitely was a great way to open up tonight's pay-per-view, as we would see Hernandez and Chavo Guerrero pick up the victory right here. Now, Kid Kash, Gunner, they definitely got to get a lot of credit. They knew what strategy they should use during this match early on, as their strategy was separate Chavo Guerrero from Hernandez. If they could keep Chavo away from tagging in Hernandez, then surely they could have this match in the books. But eventually we would see Chavo Guerrero tag in Supermax, and Supermax was pretty much able to handle everything from then on. Now, I love both pairings of these tag teams right here. I definitely want to see what's going to happen with these 2 teams next. Chavo Guerrero hasn't even been in TNA Wrestling for a month. I mean, I think he has about maybe just barely 3 weeks under his belt, and already he is undefeated at his first pay-per-view. Chavo Guerrero is off to a good start in TNA Wrestling. From there, folks, we move on now to our second match of the evening, which is one of 3 Bound for Glory series matches where we saw the Falls Count Anywhere. That's right, as it's RVD, the whole effing show, taking on Magnus, Mr. Anderson, and the Pope D'Angelo De Niro. Now, we would first see RVD come out. Then we hear the music of Pope D'Angelo De Niro, but the Pope does not come out. His music plays twice. No appearance from Pope D'Angelo De Niro. A lot of us are wondering just what exactly is going on here. Well, we would cut to a backstage area where we would see the Pope getting a serious beatdown by those damn aces and eights who just really let this guy have it. I know as I was kicking back and I'm watching this, I'm saying to myself, just like in those bad horror flick movies where you have an African-American person, you got a black person in the movie, and they always get killed off first, I was just getting the same vibe as I'm watching Pope D'Angelo De Niro get a beat down from the aces and eights. And I'm saying to myself, couldn't the brother make it to the match? Could he have at least made it to the ring first before getting his ass handed to him? I don't know about some of you guys. I was actually looking forward to seeing Pope D'Angelo De Niro wrestle because he was gone for so long. Then they said he made his little appearance in the Dark Knight Rises movie. I've seen the movie 3 times now. I've yet to see this guy in the movie. So, Matt, shout out to those of you that may have been able to spot him in the movie. If you spot him in the movie and you're able to come up with a still image of this guy, definitely give me a holler. I'm not that hard to find. Hit me up on Twitter. Email us. We'll definitely give you a shout-out on the next radio show. But I cannot find this guy for nothing in that movie. But in either case, I was looking forward to seeing Pope D'Angelo De Niro, but aces and eights, they had a different plan. They beat this guy up so bad, folks. Pope definitely was out of commission. He was not able to make it in this match. It looks as if aces and eights, they may have separated his shoulder bone. Looks like they really did a number on him really bad. Well, we will see Mr. Anderson come out, and he realizes, just like the other 2 participants, just like us watching at home, that, hey, the odds of these guys winning has just increased because now that it is no longer a fatal 4-way but a triple threat, instead, the odds are more in their favor. Mr. Anderson, he would pretty much point that out as this match was underway. RVD definitely getting the early reactions from the crowd, being looked upon as a favorite for this contest. We would see RVD busting out all the retro moves that we have come to love of Mr. The Whole Effing Show over the years. This was pretty much RVD's match. How could you not root for RVD? How could you pick against RVD? Because RVD, he bust out all the favorite moves. He bust out the Van Daminator. He bust out the 5-star Frog Splash. RVD, this was pretty much his match right here. I think you folks know where I'm going at with this. RVD would be the winner of this contest, and he would pick up 20 points. And just like that, you could feel the impact of those damn aces and eights as the landscape of the Bound for Glory leaderboard has just changed. As with RVD picking up this win, folks, he automatically, with those 20 points, shot straight up to number 3. That's right. He went over Samoa Joe as RVD now holds on to 55 points. What else could happen during the course of this night? Well, from there, folks, we would see a backstage segment now where we see Jeremy Borash is talking with Madison Rayne just a little bit before her match against TNA Knockouts champion Miss Tessmacher. Jeremy Borash bringing up very valid points, saying, hey, what is going on between you and Earl Hebner? Is Earl Hebner possibly going to play a critical role in your match if he is the referee for the Knockouts title? Madison Rayne would point out to Jeremy Borash that she has been the TNA Knockouts champion 3 times now, that she has been the TNA Knockouts Tag Champion 2 times. Point being, she does not need Earl's help or anyone's help to win matches. But she would also leave Jeremy Borash by looking at the camera and blowing a kiss to one Earl Hebner wherever he was watching. As from there, folks, next up we would see the television title on the line as Devon is putting it up against Kazarian. Now, for those of you that had listened to our Call That Match special covering this pay-per-view on Saturday, I did point out that I thought it was a bit weird that we had Daniels participating in the match at the pay-per-view, but that Kazarian wasn't going to be making an appearance, and that it was kind of weird that the tag titles were not going to be on the line at tonight's pay-per-view. Well, I guess word maybe kind of went back to TNA Wrestling, or maybe they kind of were scratching their heads in the back and realized, hey, I think we should have Kazarian actually be in the pay-per-view because, boom, we would get Kazarian. Now, I know there were some people that were feeling a few moans and groans when they first saw this match between Devon and Kazarian. Trust me, I know I definitely was one of those people that was kind of groaning a little bit, but surprisingly, and it takes a lot for me to be impressed by Devon. It's not every day I sit up and say, wow, Devon, that was a great freaking match. But on this night, I don't know what guy that was in the ring. I don't know if that really was Devon. It looked like Devon. He kind of moved like Devon, but this guy who was in the ring, that was actually Devon, put up a freaking fantastic match against Kazarian. I mean, you got to give mad props to Kazarian because you're only as good as the person that you are in the ring with. And Kazarian, he really did a damn good job bringing out the true potential out of Devon Dudley. And Devon, I mean, he really cranked it up a notch. It almost had me sitting up and saying, man, I want to see this guy defend the TV title even more, because the match that he had against Kazarian tonight, probably as long as Devon has been the television champion, I strongly feel that this was his best title defense to date. I am even very tempted to go a step further and say that since he has been a singles competitor, and I'm not just talking TNA, let's not forget he also had a singles run in the WWE as well. I'm combining that with what's been going on to this present date. I feel that this match that he had against Kazarian definitely was at least in the top 10 matches that he had as a singles competitor. That's how good this match was. For those of you that were not able to see this, hopefully you'll definitely come up out of your pockets later this week. You'll order the pay-per-view, or, hey, if a friend maybe might have made a copy, you could buy it off of him. You'll definitely agree as you're watching this match, it started off just a little bit slow for the first 10 minutes, but then the intensity, it just started picking up, and it just went to a completely different level that just had me sitting up saying, okay, you know what? That's what I want to continue to see. Devon, great job. Now let's see you keep defending that title on a regular basis, because he really proved in my mind that he definitely has that drive. He definitely has what it takes to hold on to that title. He definitely knows how to talk a good game on the mic, and he could definitely back it up. Let's just see more of that consistency, because after the impressive victory that he had over Kazarian to retain his television title, he definitely needs to continue that momentum, still be relevant in a lot of fans' minds, as I'm sure that's probably going to be one of the main highlights that a lot of folks are going to be talking about when they look back on this pay-per-view. Moving along now, next up we see the TNA Knockouts Championship on the line. And folks, this is where I suffered my first loss for the night, as I was off to a very good start. This match, however, definitely was a curveball. Now, this was another highlight for me, as I am a big fan of knockouts action. This match right here, we would see Madison Rayne, Miss Tessmacher get it on, and of course, no-brainer, senior referee that is, Earl Hebner, would in fact be the one calling this match. Just what type of a role would senior Earl Hebner play in this match? Well, we would definitely find out, as early on in the contest it would go back and forth. We would see Madison Rayne at several points almost out-wrestle Miss Tessmacher, almost to the point where you kind of said to yourself, wow, Tessmacher is supposed to be the Knockouts champion. She's kind of really getting her ass handed to her here. What the heck is going on? Key point in this match, folks, we would see a series of roll-ups. We would see Miss Tessmacher try to do a roll-up on Madison Rayne. Madison would kick out, and it just kept going back and forth like that. But at the very end of this match, we would see Madison Rayne get Tessmacher in a roll-up pin, and as clear as daylight, even a blind Stevie Wonder could probably see this happen, folks, as we see Madison Rayne grab the ropes, and referee Earl Hebner, looking at the backside of Madison Rayne, sees the hand on the ropes, counts 1, 2, 3, dirty pin right here. Madison Rayne is the new TNA Knockouts champion. This stunned me. This definitely stunned a lot of people. I have to just touch up on this match for a little bit here, folks, as I kind of feel, and I'm just being honest here, it's just my opinion, and hey, I'm not saying I am the guru, be-all, end-it-all. I just feel that if I was the one booking this match, I would have done it a little differently, because this just speaks volumes in my mind by having Miss Tessmacher lose the title to Madison Rayne. It speaks large volumes in the sense of, it says to me that TNA Wrestling might be under the impression that, okay, based on the fan reactions that we're getting from Miss Tessmacher, she's not quite ready. Maybe we should take the belt off of her. And that's really the message that I'm getting after they have spent the past couple of months pushing her, telling a really great story about her, all the promotional work that she's been doing outside of TNA Wrestling. Let's not forget, she recently had made an appearance at a Comic-Con. She was going all around doing conventions, former Miss Hooters girl. I mean, she was just everywhere. The new direct auto insurance spokesperson. I mean, this girl just had a lot of momentum going there. And now it just seems like TNA Wrestling management, they are just going in a different direction. As much as I love this storyline that is currently still new with Earl Hebner and Madison Rayne, I just don't quite feel that now was the time to pull that trigger and put that title on Madison Rayne. For those of you that might have not listened to our Thursday night edition of Impact Showdown Radio, which you can hear every Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Pacific, immediately after TNA Impact Wrestling Live, I said it on there that I would be more pleased if Madison would have lost tonight, and that could have began to unravel more layers to her relationship with Earl Hebner. Can y'all just picture that, folks? You come to the new episode of Impact Wrestling on Thursday night, and you have Earl Hebner coming up to Madison Rayne backstage, trying to ask her if she's okay, and say to her, hey, I have a job that I have to do. And Madison could be like, you know, you're supposed to have my back, though. And it really could have been a nice little segment exchange where Earl Hebner questions Madison Rayne on if she's really with him because he's a referee and he can help get her wins, or is she really with him because she has true feelings for him? Really would have been a nice little development right there. Very curious to see how this is going to pan out on Thursday's Impact Wrestling. Would not be surprised if Miss Brooke Hogan were to make an appearance and maybe pull aside referee Earl Hebner. But in either case, folks, like it or not, Madison Rayne, who I definitely feel is a hell of a better all-around knockouts champion than Miss Tessmacher, hey, they want to run with her, that's fine. But notice how nice I am here. Despite how critical I have been of Miss Tessmacher within recent weeks, where I had strongly suggested that her promo work needs to get better, I still booked her for winning this match tonight despite that. So very shocked at what had happened right here. Moving right along now, we see a backstage segment where Jeremy Borash is talking with the one Bully Ray, and he is getting his reaction on what all has happened with the Aces and Eights. Well, we would see Bully Ray point out that, hey, look, you saw what Aces and Eights, saw what they did to the Pulp. I'm definitely not going to end up being like that. I'm definitely going to be looking over my shoulder. My back is going to be up against the wall. I'm not going to allow them to jump me. And he would also point out how they gave him a calling card over the weekend as they left their trademark poker cards, an ace and an 8, on the windshield of his car. Well, Bully Ray will point out that he's just one man when compared to the Aces and Eights, but that if they want some, they know where to find him, as he'll be in the ring beating up the other participants in the tables match, as he'll be going on to pick up 20 points and move on to become the next TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Nice to see Bully Ray is kind of going a little bit unnerved despite the Aces and Eights running around. As Jeremy Borash would point out, security has been looking all over for the Aces and Eights, but they are not able to find them. Very weird right here. You're telling me you cannot get a lock on 5, 6, 7 guys that look big as hell and are wearing masks, flannel jackets, jeans. You're telling me you can't find them? Very weird right there. And coming up from there, folks, it's our 4th match, where it is our next Bound for Glory series match. Tables match time, as we see James Storm take on Bully Ray, take on Robbie E, take on Jeff Hardy. Now, keeping in mind what the Aces and Eights had said to Bully Ray this past Thursday night on Impact Wrestling, they did say that they would see him at tonight's pay-per-view. Well, we would see them in this match. Critical point, let's pick up right towards the end of the match, where we would see Aces and Eights make their appearance as Jeff Hardy is fighting with the Cowboy, James Storm. And we see Aces and Eights, they surround the ring. We see Bully Ray, he's in there too. Bully Ray is fighting them, and they are just licking their chops. They are ready to get them some of Bully Ray. Bully Ray, he's standing tall. He's ready for them. Just enough of a distraction is what had happened with the Aces and Eights, as we would see James Storm do a last call super kick to Bully Ray to send him flying out the ring. James Storm would then continue his fight on with Jeff Hardy. These two are getting it on for a little bit. Jeff Hardy comes out of nowhere, hits Storm with the twist of fate. From there, he climbs to the top turnbuckle. You know what Jeff Hardy is looking for when he goes to that top turnbuckle, folks. But one of the Aces and Eights, they would intervene and try to distract Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy, he catches them in time right before this member could grab onto him and welcome them to come into the ring. Well, we would see James Storm recuperate in time, and he would attack Jeff Hardy from behind. Meanwhile, James Storm looks on at the Aces and Eights as one of the members looks at him and gives him a thumbs up. James Storm tries to continue focusing on Jeff Hardy, but at this point, we would see Bully Ray start to come around and get back in the ring as James Storm. He picks up Jeff Hardy. He is about to put Jeff through a table, but Bully Ray attacks Storm from behind and sends him flying outside of the ring, and then will proceed to powerbomb Jeff Hardy through the wooden table to pick up 20 points and the victory, and he just hauled ass after that. Bully Ray, like a thief in the night, just gone, folks. And with that, let's update you now on how the leaderboard stats are looking in this Bound for Glory series. As get this, with those 20 points that Bully Ray managed to pick up, Bully Ray now shoots up to number 2. That's right, number 2, just under James Storm with 58 points. What could possibly happen with the final Bound for Glory series match that is to come? We'll definitely let you know about that in just a little bit, folks. Let's pick it up now with our 5th match of the evening, where we saw the TNA X Division title on the line as Zima Ion took on Kenny King. Definitely was paying attention to this match right here. A lot of people, including myself, we were under the impression that maybe, just maybe, this was going to be Kenny King's night. Maybe Kenny King was going to pick up the win right here and possibly become the new TNA X Division champion. Well, that would not be the case, folks. We would see Zima Ion retain his X Division title. It looks like at this point, TNA management is definitely locked on a Zima Ion Jesse Sorsen program, possibly for the X Division title. I believe the main question right now, though, is can Zima Ion make it until then? Yes, he has the flashy moves. He's a little bit reckless when he's in the ring at times, but can he keep that momentum, the little momentum that he has going, all the way up until it's time for him to work that program with Jesse? I'm all for the program with Jesse, but one thing I can't stress enough to TNA management, if you're going to go with that program, you got to give Zima Ion more spotlight. You can't have Zima Ion pick up a win 1 week and then we don't see him for 2-3 weeks. You got to keep that momentum that he has going. So hopefully on this night, Zima Ion can definitely continue to make more appearances on Impact Television. Kenny King, though, the thing I loved about this match, both of these guys, and I've been paying attention to Zima Ion longer than I have of Kenny King. I just started catching on to Kenny King. I've been watching as much videos as I can of his previous matches, mainly in Ring of Honor, and I definitely like what I see in this guy. I definitely have been following Zima Ion a little bit longer, though. I hate to say it, but as good as this match was, and it was definitely a damn good match, Kenny King on this night, he's just not quite ready yet. Not quite. I know that's probably a little hard for you hardcore Kenny King fans to believe, especially since you guys have been following him longer than I have. But I feel that as soon as the Jesse Sorsen Zima Ion program is done and it's over with, we'll definitely see Kenny King pick up the X Division championship by then. But for now, on this night, Kenny King fans, you don't have anything to be disappointed about. Kenny King, he definitely proved in his match against Zima Ion that he belongs in TNA Wrestling. I mean, he just fits that mold so perfectly right now. Great addition. Can't stress it enough. I've been saying it for weeks now. I can't say it any more than what I had saw him do with Zima Ion tonight. I am automatically a fan of this guy. I was a fan as soon as I saw him come into TNA Wrestling. I'm a hardcore fan as of tonight, seeing what all he had did in the ring. I definitely expect big things for him to happen in the coming year. So Kenny King, definitely a great match right there with Zima Ion. Backstage segment, we go now where we see Jeremy Borash is getting thoughts from the one, Samoa Joe, about his ladder match coming up. And Samoa Joe, he would say, hey, with regards to aces and eights, they don't make him nervous one bit. As far as he's concerned, he's more focused on beating up Kurt Angle, Daniels, and AJ Styles and climb up that ladder, grab that envelope to get 20 points, all in the name of regaining his TNA World Heavyweight title, as our sixth match is now underway, folks. That's right. It's our final Bound for Glory series match, and this one is a ladder match. And this one right here, I definitely am looking forward to, I was looking forward to this match because I just felt that this match right here was simply just freaking amazing. I mean, you got all these names that are in here. I mean, how can you go wrong with this match, folks? I mean, we have AJ Styles, we got Christopher Daniels, we got Kurt Angle, we got Samoa Joe. You definitely can't go wrong with this contest right here. Ladder match, folks. I love this match, hands down. This was probably one of the best matches of the night because it had all of my favorite guys in this match. And the funny thing I loved about this match, I loved how Styles, Angle, Joe, I love how they just all teamed up for a few minutes, and they were just beating the living crap out of Daniels. Out of all the years that I have seen Daniels in TNA, I have never seen him proceed to get the ass beating that he got tonight. I mean, Daniels was their punching bag. I mean, we already knew there was just no way Daniels was going to win this match. We all knew that. But just the fact that Daniels was just beaten down the way that he was, I mean, we would see them take turns on him. We would see Samoa Joe, Kurt Angle. They would just, oh, my God, they were just treating this guy like a poor little rag doll. I mean, one point in this match, we would actually see Samoa Joe and Kurt Angle set up Daniels in between a steel ladder, and they just start kicking the heck out of him. They started kicking him in the stomach area as he's propped in between the ladder. Then they pushed him as he was still locked in the ladder. I mean, it was just crazy right here. That crazy match. I can't stress it enough. I'm not going to even try to give you a play-by-play of this match. You just would have had to have seen it. It was definitely one of my most favorite matches watching on this night. But we would see AJ Styles out of nowhere. It looked as if Samoa Joe was going to win this match. Samoa Joe, he definitely was commanding this match. Samoa Joe, it looked as if tonight was going to be his night. We see him on the ladder. He's getting ready to reach for that envelope, and then out of nowhere we see AJ Styles. He just jumps up on top of the ladder, grabs the envelope, falls. And, I mean, it was like he just did it all in just one step. Just jump over the rope, ladder, grab the envelope, fall into the canvas. That's just pretty much how it went. It was like one continuous flow, it seemed almost. And we just see Samoa Joe looking on like, what the hell just happened here? I was supposed to get this. Samoa Joe, he just looked completely in shock. I know I was definitely in shock because I'm watching this and I'm saying, where the hell did AJ Styles come from? It was almost like AJ Styles, for those of you that are WWE fans, it was almost like watching Shelton Benjamin do his beautiful magic that he usually does at the Money in the Bank pay-per-views. It was definitely a great match right here, folks. Let's cut now to a backstage segment area where we saw Jeremy Borash talking with the former TNA World Heavyweight Champion, Robert Roode. Strong words here from the former World Heavyweight Champion, who lets it be known that last year the company was on his shoulders. He had the company on his back as he was the longest reigning TNA World Heavyweight Champion ever. And that on one night at the Destination X pay-per-view, Austin Aries just wiped all that away and what he felt was a fluke. Strong word there, fluke. So strong, Roode had to spell it out. And Roode would go on to say that on this night he's going to prove that everything that happened last month was a fluke, as he will go walking into the Bound for Glory pay-per-view as the World Heavyweight Champion. And, folks, our main event of the night, we would see Austin Aries defend his TNA World Heavyweight Championship against Robert Roode. The stakes could not be any higher right here, folks. This is it. This is the last time that these two men will get it on. After a heated confrontation on an episode of Impact Wrestling, just hours, days before their match tonight, we would see Robert Roode have a problem with a contract that he was supposed to sign for this match, stating that clause that said that should Robert Roode somehow lose to Austin Aries, he would not get a rematch as long as Austin Aries is the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. It looked as if our main event was going to be in jeopardy, but Austin Aries, he would take control of the matter and say to Robert Roode, hey, look, let's come up with a verbal agreement right here, right now. I'll go on ahead and I'll put up my rematch clause up for grabs. Should you win the TNA World Heavyweight title, that's it. No rematch. You got it. But if I win, and I will, then Robert Roode, you are definitely done. And they would shake hands on that. Well, now that you have that backstory, this match, we're set now. This match, in my mind, definitely better than their last encounter at the Destination X pay-per-view. I know that's probably a little bit hard to picture for some of you folks right now as you're saying to yourself, well, their first encounter at Destination X, that was just freaking off the chain. The storytelling in this match, and it was great storytelling. It was great wrestling. Keyword right here, wrestling. Really great freaking wrestling we saw in this match between Roode and Aries, who were just really getting it on. I mean, we were seeing submission holds coming out. I mean, we were seeing everything just magnified twice. Definitely better than their previous encounter. Great storytelling in this match, and the great storytelling would come towards the end of the match, or at least it looked as if it was the end of the match, as we would see Robert Roode and Austin Aries, they would engage back and forth, throwing punches at one another. They're getting it on. We see that this match would end in a roll-up. Now, we had not one referee, but we had two referees in the picture because the main referee for this match, Brian Hebner, he got taken out of the picture for a little bit, so another referee had came down in his place. So we see a series of pins that starts to go down, and at one point we see what looks like, okay, Austin Aries just retained, right? Wasn't the case. From one referee's vantage point, it looked as if Robert Roode had it. From Brian Hebner's standpoint, it looked the opposite. So here we have a match where we're not really sure who exactly is the winner, as we would see Robert Roode grab the TNA World Heavyweight title, walking out feeling victorious. Well, leave it to senior referee Earl Hebner to make everything right. Earl Hebner, he would go to the other referees and he would get briefed on what all just happened, and he would say, no, it's not going to end like this. We need to just go ahead, restart the match. And so this match was restarted. We will see a pissed off Robert Roode who couldn't believe the decision that Earl Hebner had made, as we see Austin Aries looking to go airborne as he flies off of the top rope, tries to connect with Robert Roode, but Roode was able to get out of the way in time, and poor Austin Aries, he hits nothing but hard surface. It looks like Austin Aries is knocked out cold, as Robert Roode feels that it's going to be easy for him at this point to pick up a 3 count and become the new TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Well, upon dragging a dead weight Austin Aries into the ring and covering him somehow, perhaps by instinct, folks, we would see Robert Roode look upset as Austin Aries would kick out and the match was still on. And then from there, folks, from there, it couldn't get any sweeter as Austin Aries, just out of nowhere, he comes up with the surprise victory. That's right, Austin Aries, the underdog it looked like for those last few seconds, would score the victory in this match and still retain his TNA championship, thus putting an end to his rivalry, at least for now, between Robert Roode, which just has many wrestling fans, especially Robert Roode fans, wondering just what exactly is going to happen next for Robert Roode. Where does Robert Roode go from here? A lot of speculation has been buzzing since seeing Robert Roode lose to Austin Aries, as a lot of people feel maybe he needs to have a little something to do with the aces and eights. That's one idea. Or maybe he needs to go focus on that television title and maybe work a program with Devon. Definitely going to be curious to see what's going to happen with Robert Roode in the weeks to come. Hopefully we will know what's going to happen with regards to Robert Roode on this week's Impact Wrestling. And was it 3 referees or was it? No, it was 2. Yeah, it started off with 2 referees. Then it became 3 when we would see Earl Hebner come into the mix to help clear up the confusion. For you guys in the chat room that's a little bit confused about what happened, as Philip Broom said, there were 3 referees that were used in the match. So, yeah, if you really think about it, it took 3 referees just to make this right, as Austin Aries would retain. And, yes, Earl Hebner did get involved. I know. It's kind of hard to believe when you think about it because we saw him earlier in the night with Madison Rayne. But remember, he's the senior referee, so he does outrank his son, Brian, and the other guy whose name we don't really know, unfortunately. He does outrank them. So, yeah, the match would get reset by that. So sorry if you guys are a little bit confused in the chat room there, but yeah, that's exactly what had happened, both what me and Philip Broom had said there. And yes, Earl did make it rain, Philip Broom. He made it rain on Madison Rayne. Overall, folks, I definitely feel that with tonight's pay-per-view, definitely there were some really, really great matches that we had got to see tonight. Like I said at the top of the hour, this pay-per-view had just a little bit of everything for everyone. You couldn't really go wrong with this pay-per-view. I know we had some people that were, as I found out by Zed now, apparently some people, and it was more than one, they didn't like the fact that Zed sat up and said that this pay-per-view deserved a 10 out of 10. Especially when the main event didn't even happen yet. Now, Zed is our Twitter guy. We can't control what Zed says. When it's all said and done, I have the ultimate say on pretty much what I thought of the show or pay-per-view. And on this night, I wouldn't say a 10 out of 10. And I'll tell you the reason why I don't feel this pay-per-view is a 10 and 10. It's not a 10 out of 10 because of the way that they did Miss Tessmacher. I don't quite feel, I don't know, maybe somebody can convince me, and we'll definitely open up the phone lines in just a little bit, but maybe some of you guys can convince me, but I just don't feel that tonight was the right night to take the title off of Tessmacher. That's probably the one bone that I have to pick right now. So I think just the way that had went down, I would give the pay-per-view a 9 out of 10. Just that match alone, I would have to give it a 9 out of 10. I think I probably would have ended up giving it a 9 out of 5, possibly a 10 out of 10 if I didn't see that happen. Now, I know somebody, Homie the Clown, he had said to Zed that he noticed that there was a couple of botched moves. Now, we over here at the RCWR show, Impact Showdown, I don't know how some of you wrestling fans do it, but when we're watching a match, we don't look for screw-ups, botch moves, as they like to call them. We're just, really into the match. We're looking at how the story is being told. We're looking at how the guys are getting it on in the ring. If it's at a point where the botched move kind of goes a little bit unnoticed, and it's one of those deals where, well, hey, if you rewind, you'll see what I'm talking about. Then we rewind. Oh, yeah, you were right, actually. Yeah, they did mess up. But I definitely was paying attention to this pay-per-view. I hear some people said there was a couple of botched moves. We definitely were watching the Twitter feeds all night. There was hardly any people sitting up saying that there was botched moves. Anybody in the chat room, if you happen to have seen some botched moves in there, let's see. We got NJ Brock, who points out that there were botched counts in the, which match, Brock? I'll buy you some time while you're typing up. Let us know what botched moves you saw in there. But we really didn't see too many people that were complaining about botched moves. But, overall, that's not going to really mess up the overall experience of a pay-per-view. 1-2 botches, exactly. 1-2 botches is okay. Okay, good for the night. 3 out of 5, half off the match. Anything past that, whole stars off. Very good point indeed. This is what we're going to do right now. We're going to go on ahead. We're going to take a brief commercial break, and then when we come right back, we're going to go on ahead. We're going to open up the phone lines. I'm done talking. I want to hear what you guys have to say that saw the pay-per-view. All right? So we're going to go ahead. We're going to take a commercial break. Before I have you guys ending on a little cliffhanger, let me just update you on the Bound for Glory series leaderboards one more time. This is the new standings as of tonight. James Storm still in the lead with 66 points. That's followed by Bully Ray with 58 points. Rob Van Dam, 55 points. Samoa Joe at 54 points. We have Kurt Angle at 48 points. Mr. Anderson at 40 points. AJ Styles with 36. Jeff Hardy with 35. Christopher Daniels at 33 points. Magnus at 21 points. The Pope, D'Angelo De Niro, at 7 points. Robbie E. at 5 points. And as Taz and Mike Tenay would point out, unfortunately, at this point, the top 5 people are what we need to be paying attention to right now, because those top 5 people have another pit stop that they need to make to ultimately crown a new number 1 contender to face the TNA World Heavyweight Champion at the Bound for Glory pay-per-view, as TNA and the Bound for Glory series will make one more pit stop. And at this pay-per-view, we will definitely know who will win the Bound for Glory series, as No Surrender is going to be coming our way September 9th. So there you have it right there, folks. All right, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take a commercial break. We're going to come right back, and we're going to open up the phone lines, get your reactions. You're listening to the RCWR Post Show live on blogtalkradio.com and at InfinityOneProductions.com on August 12th, 2012. We'll be coming right back, folks. Hang tight.
Tired of those wrestling websites that give you redirects, spyware, weird pop-ups? How about those misleading headlines? Instead of hitting the keyboard in frustration, why not visit InfinityOneProductions.com? Infinity One is the source for wrestling-related news and so much more without all the hassle. Visit InfinityOneProductions.com. Your keyboard will thank you.
Hey guys, Lee Sanders here with the RCWR Show, and I'd like to take this time out to tell you about one or two quick apps that I think you should check out when you get a free moment. First app I'd like to recommend to you is the app from Stitcher. Now, Stitcher allows you to be able to play all our episodes of the RCWR Show and Impact Showdown on your portable devices, such as an Android phone, Kindle Fire, iPad, you name it, it'll be able to play it. So definitely highly recommend that you check that out. It's available for free in the App Store. Stitcher, new and smart way to play radio. Also, another cool app that I'd like to recommend to you all is a new app that came out not too long ago from Apple. That's right, Apple has recently come out with a free podcast app. Now, this app is really cool, folks, because after we are done doing our shows, all you have to do is just subscribe to our episodes. And you can do this by downloading this new free podcast app. All you have to do, visit the App Store on your iPhone or iPad and just search podcast. Once the app is downloaded, you can then type in the name of our shows, the RCWR Show and Impact Showdown, and you'll be able to subscribe. It's that easy. So you have two cool free apps that you can check out and take all our episodes with you on the go. So get to it already.
Live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., this is the RCWR Show with your host, Lee Sanders.
And we're back. You're listening to the RCWR Post Show. I am, of course, as always, the Black Avenger, Lee Sanders. Quick note, and we definitely got to show some love to our boy NJ Brock, 22, in the chat room right now. Definitely can't stress it enough until TNA Wrestling tells you otherwise on their website and leading up into the next installment of Impact Wrestling Live. Keep this in mind. With regards to Cowboy James Storm, Kurt Angle, Daniels, it appears now that they are done. It looks like if Mr. Anderson were to somehow come up with a win via submission, then he would be in the top 4. For anyone above Kurt Angle that loses via submission, Kurt Angle would get in. I know, very weird when you kind of think about it. Hopefully between now and the next time we see Impact Wrestling Live, Taz and Mike Tenay, they can kind of clean it up. I know me and Don from New York, we were talking about this whole point system on Impact Showdown Radio this past Thursday night. Shout out to you, Don from New York. We sat up and we both agreed this whole point system, it's really confusing. They need to just treat it like a Super Bowl playoff, bring up some NFL stuff, have there be a little tournament, maybe kind of take a page out of WWE's book, do some type of a King of the Ring type of deal, because really it can be a bit confusing. All we know is the leaderboard stats, but it looks like the top 4-5 people, they're locked. But stay posted to Impact Wrestling's website. You can definitely stay locked on to our website at InfinityOneProductions.com. We'll definitely try to straighten this whole fiasco out and definitely let you guys know who's definitely in, who's definitely out. So, yeah, point system is just really confusing. You know, we can all agree on that. They need to revamp that a little bit. Let's go ahead now. Let's open up the phone lines. We got like over a half hour, so I made sure that I went through the results as quickly as possible so I can give you, the TNA Wrestling fans, the platform to go into discussion without feeling rushed on how you enjoyed or disliked tonight's Hardcore Justice pay-per-view. You guys want to jump in right now, feel free to do so. Phone number to call, 646-478-3525. Once again, that number is 646-478-3525. Kick back, smile and dial, be live on the air. Let's go ahead. Let's do it. When you come on to the show, let us know where you're calling from. Let us know your first name. We don't need to know all your other personal business, where your address is, and what you had for dinner. We don't need to know all that. Just let us know where you're calling from and your first name. Let's go ahead. Let's jump right into it. We got caller from the 704 area code. My friend, you're live on the air.
Hey, Lee, how are you?
Hey, pretty good, bro. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. I'm James from Charlotte, North Carolina, and I've been listening to the show. I would give it, kind of like what you did, about a 9, maybe out of 10. But I guess it kind of makes sense what they did with Madison Rayne, because they did spend some time, with the whole referee Earl Hebner thing. And if they didn't put the title on her, then it was kind of going to be a go nowhere angle, I guess. But
I guess I can see that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just in general, I've been a wrestling fan for like 20 years, but I don't really spend a lot of time watching WWE anymore. It's so kiddie and childlike, and I guess they're just going for a different audience. I'm 30 years old. This show was so much better when it came to actual wrestling and holds, and even the way that the guys call the matches. Taz is such a great, for a professional wrestling show. Here's a guy that actually put some time, energy, and effort into explaining what the moves are and what the guy's psychology is of the match. And you just don't hear that in the WWE. And this was just, hands down, a much better pay-per-view. Maybe not as big. I mean, maybe there weren't as many fireworks as on the other show, but they don't have that type of budget. But the wrestling, like you said earlier in the show, was 10, 20 times better than anything you ever see on that. Even the first match, even Kid Kash and Gunner. I mean, they're a new tag team, but they look a hell of a lot better than the primetime players.
Yeah, that's a good point, James. And you know what? And it's funny too, because for two guys in Gunner and Kid Kash that don't really talk that much, as their mic work is not exactly their strong points, they look damn impressive tonight.
Well, both of those tag teams did. Chavo, he's, brand new in that company. And, I like how Taz is kind of referencing how Chavo was channeling Eddie and the Guerrero family, where I don't think they did that very much in WWE. So it kind of looked like Chavo was ripping off Eddie, whereas if Taz goes out and says, hey, he's doing it in homage of his uncle or whatever the case is, it makes him look a little in a different light. But, WWE, I like tag team wrestling. In WWE, there's like 3 or 4 teams, In TNA, at least we've seen, some great series matches with Beer Money and the Motor City Machine Guns and Inc. and now Kaz and Daniels. They haven't given up on tag team wrestling, which I think WWE has. The X Division is so much better. I guess Devon's kind of keeping that TV title division warm. He gets a big pop every time he comes on TV. And the main event, man, John Cena, he can't wrestle like Bobby Roode and Austin Aries. Even The Rock, The Rock can do some wrestling moves, but it's more of a spot match, I guess, when you put those two guys versus, Bobby Roode and Austin Aries. It's just a different show. Yeah.
So overall, you definitely like tonight's pay-per-view.
I liked it. I gave it about a 10, 9 out of 10, 8.5, 9.5, somewhere in there. And I agree with a lot of what you said. The only thing I was calling it about was that one point that you made about Madison Rayne. If they didn't put the belt on her, now it gives Brooke somebody to chase, and then that whole Errol Hefner angle would kind of have gone nowhere, I think. But either way.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, James, thank you so much for calling, man. We really appreciate you calling in. First-time caller that we're aware of. Glad you like the show. Continue to check out the show. And for those of you that's checking it out for the very first time, we do live episodes covering the latest in WWE, Raw, SmackDown, WWE wrestling-related news on our Tuesday night show. That's the RCWR show. You can catch that at 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 Pacific. For you TNA Wrestling fans, we definitely got you covered as well. You can check out new episodes of Impact Showdown Radio Thursday nights immediately after Impact Wrestling at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific. Definitely appreciate that call. I'm a little bit convinced now. I kind of see where you're coming from, and I could definitely understand and appreciate, hey, maybe it was, unfortunately, the right time to take the belt off of Tessmacher. Didn't really give that much consideration into, okay, now Brooke has somebody that she needs to chase. And Brooke, of course, I'm talking about Miss Tessmacher, Brooke Adams. That's what I'm used to calling her. It kind of gives her someone to chase for a little bit, kind of maybe get that fan support back up there maybe. She kind of reminds me of a female version of Randy Orton, now that you kind of mention it, because Randy Orton, he is just at his damn best when he is chasing after that championship, whether it's the World Heavyweight or it's the WWE, but it just seems like once he has it, you're ready to see the belt come off of him. I don't get that. But in either case, let's go ahead and let's go with our next caller. James, definitely thank you for that call, by the way. Let's go with our next caller. Let's go ahead and let's go to the 210 area code. You're live on the air, my friend.
Hi, this is Tony from San Antonio, Texas.
Hey, Tony.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, pretty good, bro. How you doing?
Can't complain. I'm not like the last caller. I'm not a TNA fanboy.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the pay-per-view was okay. I thought the main event was good until the ending. I thought the tables match was a big cluster, you know what? And I thought the knockouts match was a downfall. I didn't enjoy that match at all. And I don't really get the storyline between her and Earl Hebner, because if they're an item, supposedly, why in the world is he reffing her matches? That's what I don't get. And
now,
at the end of the, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just trying to pick up on what you had said at the beginning. Now, you had said that you don't really, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you say you don't really follow TNA Wrestling?
No. I'm not like your last caller where I'm a TNA fanboy. Where I see that TNA does nothing wrong and it's just dash WWE.
Yeah.
But I just don't get the have him ref her matches when they're an item, because it's obviously he's going to pull for her. And second off, the main event was excellent until the ending. We have referees telling the match to go on. Where's Sting? He's the general manager. Where's Sting and the come down and 16's out? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
And then the tables match. Bubba Ray went through a table, but his arm only went through a table, so that means the match goes on. That's what I don't get. It just seems like TNA was off tonight. Last pay-per-view was excellent, and I guess maybe my expectations were high and didn't see as good of a pay-per-view as the last caller did, because it was no 9 out of 10. There was just too much stuff that went down. That just the ending alone was crap. Have them both pin each other and then they both kick out. That means the pin's over. The pin's broken up. There's no controversy. If they both pin each other in 1, 2, 3, then we got something going. Like the Punk and Daniel Bryan situation.
Right.
But it was just too much stuff going on. It was just overbooked, in my opinion.
So you don't even agree with how the last match between Austin Aries and Robert Roode ended up becoming, despite the whole confusion and the referee said, you know what, let's just restart the match. You don't even agree with Austin Aries picking up the win the way that he did. You just feel that whole scenario should have just been avoided completely. There just shouldn't have been a double count out or whatever, or double pin.
And now, what is there going to be another rematch? And especially when they're going at it, that they're saying that there's not going to be another match after this. I don't understand the booking of that. If there's not going to be a rematch and you're like shoving it down our throats that there's not going to be a rematch, then why end it like that? Now Robert Roode's going to come out next week or whatever have you and say, I lost unfairly, stuff like that. And Taz on commentary, I'm sorry, I don't feel the same way with Taz on commentary. I actually think he's horrible. But he's better than Jerry Lawler. I'll give him that. But yeah. The commentary in TNA is not that much better than WWE. I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah. I mean, I have to agree. I've been following Taz for a long time, and I heard his commentating when he did his thing on SmackDown, and Taz knows how to call moves, and he knows how to try to put you inside of the mind of what that wrestler's motives might be as they're in that match, what strategy they might have, and everything like that. But unfortunately, because I couldn't sit up and, I'm the type of guy on this show, I let you speak your piece, but when we have a caller like our boy Tony here, we definitely, our motto is always keeping it real. And we got to keep it real, and it's 12:11 at night right now, so the kiddies are asleep. I can just be brutally honest. Taz on commentating, he fucking sucks, okay? Yeah. Taz, the only thing Taz knows how to sit up and do, oh, yeah, Mike, oh, yeah, let those pigeons loose. Oh, yeah, what I got to do to get a date with Christy Hemme. I mean, that's pretty much Taz. So it doesn't really take anybody of years and years of experience just to sound like that.
Yeah, and I 100% agree with you. And, I'll agree that he may call matches better than Jerry Lawler or maybe even better than Michael Cole. But he is so boring and so lame. He doesn't get excited over anything. It's like he's in that same tone of voice the whole. And, TNA, God bless his soul, he carries Taz. Yeah. And I'm not even a TNA fan. Yeah. And he carries Taz through those broadcasts. But other than that, I thought this was a letdown. I thought Hardcore Justice was a letdown. I thought the booking it was just overbooked. Like it was just a big clusterfuck. That's all I gotta say. It was just so much stuff happened in a match that you're just forgetting how good the match was. I mean, it ended on a roll up. A match like that should not end in a roll up. That's what I just don't understand. They were doing so good with their pay-per-views and their impacts, and then they laid an egg to me. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to next Sunday with the SummerSlam and everything, and I was just hoping for 2 good pay-per-views, and I'm hoping that we don't get 2 bad ones now.
Yeah, that's a good point right there. Well, thank you so much for your call. We appreciate you calling in. Feel free to call another time. And no, this is not a WWE bash show. I don't know where we had got that from. I think that what is happening right now is, for those of you listening, you're experiencing those wrestling fans that watch WWE programming and they watch TNA Wrestling. You're hearing those true wrestling fans that don't really have a dedication to one particular promotion. The key thing is that they just want to be entertained. If they can't get it from WWE, they're going to go to TNA. If they can't get it from TNA, they're going to go to WWE. If they can't get it from both of them, they're going to go look at it from another wrestling promotion. So no, this is not a WWE bashing. It is not our callers that call into the show's fault. It is not my fault. It is not our staff's fault of half of TNA's roster that are former WWE employees. That's not our fault. If TNA wants to open up their checkbook and they want to keep bringing in former WWE talent like recently signed Chavo Guerrero, hey, we know how these guys were when they were in that company. So in a sense, you can kind of say that we have a little bit of high expectations or certain expectations for them. But to answer that question from Tony, who we just got off the phone speaking with not too long ago, who sent us a reply on Twitter asking if this was a WWE bashing show. No, this is not a WWE bashing show. Sorry that you feel that way, but specifically, we are just talking about how we're noticing little different things. I think at no time did anybody sit up and say, well, WWE throws better programming. All that caller was sitting up saying was how Taz commentating sucks and was comparing it to Michael Cole, Jerry Lawler. There's nothing wrong with making a comparison there. Let's go ahead and let's move on to our next caller. Let us go to caller from the 973 area code. You're live on the air, my friend.
What's up, Avenger?
What's up, bro?
To quote the great AW, you are unstoppable.
I try, man. I try. So how did you like the pay-per-view tonight, bro?
Well, I didn't actually physically get to see it. I just kind of was following it, following your on your guys' Twitter or website, wherever it was, things like that. But I was going to ask you, how was the crowd?
The crowd, yeah, I'm glad you said that. And you know what? I almost forgot the crowd was an Orlando, Florida crowd. In particular, I almost forgot the crowd was a Orlando studio crowd because the crowd was just completely off the chain. I mean, during that, what was it, the ladder match or the tables match, whichever match Kurt Angle was in, we had the fans chanting USA at Kurt Angle, and he had no choice but to stop, look at the crowd, throw his arms up. I mean, what a great freaking pop right there, especially since the Olympics are still in effect kind of right now. Really great moment. The crowd was off the chain.
Okay. Good to see Madison back with the belt. Not a fan of bringing in, people with no wrestling background and strapping the belt on them. I mean, Miss Tessmacher will admit, she was green or raw, whatever you want to call it, when she came into this industry. And so not a big fan. But definitely Madison, big fan of her. Feeling that. I like her mic skills, how she cuts a promo and just tears into the crowd. Yeah. She's very polarizing figure, so that's good to see. And I don't think they're going to have her and Brooke Tessmacher in a feud. I think they're going to put Tessmacher on the back burner. I mean, they've already put this woman over, so how much further you want to put her over? I'm not sure. I think Gail Kim and Madison might be going a little back and forth now, but they might do a triple threat. But so there was no knockouts. Follow up on this knockouts tag team. We didn't see any ODB tonight. And what's that other rodeo clown's name?
Eric Young, yeah.
So no follow up on that, huh? That
no
belt's still kind of sitting in the wings. Okay.
Yeah.
And then Austin Aries, it's basically one-up Bobby Roode. I mean, Bobby Roode was the selfish generation, the it factor, and then Double A come along, boom. So that's pretty impressive how he's one-upped him, because let's face it, Roode was white hot, It's pretty cool. And I was going to make one other point. Oh, yeah, aces and eights. Like, based on what you saw tonight, any further insight into who could be behind this? Do you think it's Jeff Jarrett? Could it even be a Dixie Carter? I mean, was there any, based on what you saw tonight, or is it still, because they've invested a lot of time into this storyline now. I hope there's going to be a major payoff, you know what I'm saying? I hope the payoff isn't, what do you think?
I think, and thank you for that call, bro, as always. I think that with regards to the aces and eights, I hear the comparisons about them being matched up to the Nexus ripoff, or I'm not even looking at it right now. I'm giving them every single benefit of the doubt to just run this story through its course. We've heard a lot of different names. We've heard Jeff Jarrett popping up. That could be the one behind Aces and Eights. We heard that it could be Scott Steiner. I mean, how jacked up would that be considering all the foul crap that he used to say about TNA, Hulk Hogan, and it turns out he's the one behind that. I mean, that would just be freaking phenomenal. But, you know, honestly, if I were to sit up and try to figure out who it could possibly be, I would not get any sleep. I am just enjoying this ride for what it's worth. I have this weirdest feeling, though, that if they play this the way that they're going to play this, I think this storyline will conclude at the Bound for Glory series. Now, whether or not Hulk Hogan will be involved, I don't know. Maybe it depends on how well he heals up. But, you know, there's just that part of me that's definitely saying it will conclude by Bound for Glory. I'd be shocked if they wrapped it up at No Surrender. I think they just play this out, ride it out to Bound for Glory. I don't know who it could be. I mean, you would think it would be Jeff Jarrett. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. We shall see. That's all I know. We shall see. I'm just enjoying it for what it's worth right now. Let's go ahead and let's go with our good pal, Dave. Dave, you're live on the air, my friend. What's up?
Hey, how's it going?
What's up, bro? Doing good, man.
I just hope we don't see Hogan coming down Bound for Glory in crutches again, like we did a couple years ago. I just don't want to see that happen again. And as far as this Bound for Glory series, I'm not sure if it's the Bound for Glory series or the BCS. I mean, so it's looking like all these points. That's how you feel.
Now, I'm tripping over what you said about the whole points thing. Yeah, I'm like...
Yeah. It seems like the BCS. Well,
go ahead, bro.
I think with the whole... Tonight it was a good pay-per-view. I don't think... It did kind of come off as a bash on TNA, what you guys were doing earlier, but I know you guys were trying to. But it didn't come off as that, which I thought the matches were better than what the last caller thought they were. I mean, all in all, Austin Aries and Robbie was still a good match. Mm-hmm. I think it would have been better to end it with a double count, because then you would get people mad about it, but you'd also be able to get another match out of those two, which I would have loved to see. Mm-hmm. But I had a question for you, and then another quick comment. Do you think it's time to do away with some of these gimmick matches, like the ladders and tables? Because let's hope Bully Ray isn't hurt. And
no.
Contact.
No, as long as they use it right, and I think tonight was definitely a night that it was okay to have all those different type of matches. I mean, like I said at the top of the show, it had a little bit of something for everyone. I mean, you couldn't really go wrong with this pay-per-view. No, I don't think they should get rid of those type of gimmick matches.
And one more quick thing. One thing I didn't like about tonight, as I'm watching the pay-per-view, I'm sure you probably noticed this too, I didn't know I was watching a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the ring, there's nothing. It looked like a regular Impact show besides the blue tape, or the blue ring rope. I mean, do you think how much better it would have been if they would have even thrown a Hardcore Justice, like, tag in the middle of the ring, or at least around the apron or something?
Yeah.
I mean, 'cause unless you're looking in the corner of your TV screen or computer screen to see Hardcore Justice in the corner, I mean, you wouldn't even know you're ordering it, or you wouldn't even know what you're watching.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean...
you think they should do that? Like, tag the middle of the ring with the pay-per-view?
That's been a problem, it seems like, if not for every single pay-per-view, definitely every other pay-per-view. I mean, they never have the banners plugging the pay-per-views, you know, that they're doing. You just are under the impression that you're watching a pretty damn good installment of another episode of Impact Wrestling. You know, it would help if they dressed it up a little bit, you know.
Yeah, I know, and I think Bully Ray might be behind. That kind of made you think like maybe he's behind the whole Aces and Eights.
It does create that doubt out there.
Yeah, like he just runs away really quick. Yeah, but just hearing Bully Ray says I shattered my elbow, I don't know if I'll just talk, but I hope not, because that could leave some contract situation up in the air really with that. If something bad happened like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely something there. 1 to 10, how would you give the pay-per-view tonight?
I'll go an 8. I mean, it was a good pay-per-view. It wasn't great, but it was a good pay. It was worth the money.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it just wasn't overall. Nothing really stood out majorly besides, like, maybe AJ Styles. I thought he was dead for a minute with that one move.
I know.
Well, I thought he wasn't moving. I was like, is he dead? I mean, because when Joe dropped him, I was like, oh, crap.
Yeah, it was definitely crazy right there. Dave, as always, thank you so much for calling. I just want to touch up on something, and we'll go out on this note. I've been a wrestling fan since the 1980s. I followed WWF in my late teens, going into my 20s. You know, I started following other wrestling promotions, NWA. You know, then later on I started following Ring of Honor Wrestling. I started following TNA Wrestling. And I bring up all these promotions to bring a very valid point. You're always going to be able to get sincere honesty when you listen to our shows, whether it's Tuesday night, we're talking about WWE-related stuff, wrestling news. Thursday nights when we're talking about TNA wrestling-related news. We give you all the platform to express your opinions on how you either disliked or liked the show. And you know, as we had one caller that had expressed their frustration about the poor way that they felt the pay-per-view was, you know, honestly, and as we just heard from Dave, who is also one of those type of wrestling fans, as well as many of you that can appreciate good wrestling from any promotion, you know, I think it's safe to say that we all could definitely be in agreement, a majority agreement, that tonight's pay-per-view, you know, it wasn't horrific. It wasn't bad. I still stand behind what I said about this pay-per-view earlier tonight, and I'm going to stand behind it. I give this pay-per-view a 9 out of 10. And as I said before, the only problem I had with the pay-per-view, in particular why it didn't get a higher rating for me, was what had went down with Madison Rayne. For those of you that listen to our shows for TNA Wrestling, if we offended you at any point during tonight's show with what you may have considered to be bashing of the promotion, we humbly apologize. We don't mean to come off like that. We know how most of those wrestling radio shows are. They sit up week after week. They just bash a promotion. They don't have anything constructive to say. I would like to believe that we try to do our best to not come off that way. So if we offended you, hardcore TNA wrestling fans, in any type of way, we humbly apologize for that, but this is a radio show where we give you all the opportunity to express your dislike, your likes, for whatever it is that you were watching on that night, whether it is a TV show or a pay-per-view. We don't have to agree. It's okay to disagree. I think those of you that had tuned into tonight's show, those of you that participated in our chat room, mass shout-out to all of you in there. Mass shout-out to everybody that called into tonight's show. Let's go ahead and let's do this again this Tuesday night for a new episode of the RCWR show. Definitely a great pay-per-view, 9 out of 10. Highly recommend you buy on pay-per-view. Get it when it comes out on DVD. You will not be disappointed. I stand behind what I said earlier. I stand behind my review. Matt, shout out again to all of you that participated on tonight's show. Y'all be safe and y'all be kind to one another. That's going to do it, folks. Take care. See you later.